This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
The aftermath of every social revolution brings about change. Cultural norms and landmarks shift as our minds and hearts expand beyond the familiar. To everything, there is a season and a time to every purpose in the land of the living. This is our time to renew, revive, and restore the hope lost to the busyness of life. This is our time to dig again and rebuild from the storms of our past on a solid footing that holds. Welcome to The Foundation.
The Foundation. Foundation.
The Foundation with Howard Grant is brought to you by Alive, Bahamas Bus and Truck, the Bahamas Football Association, Burger King, Commonwealth Bank, the Digital Transformation Unit, the Insurance Commission of the Bahamas, and Marcos Pizza.
Foundation.
It's the foundation. Foundation. It's the foundation. Foundation. So it's the foundation. Foundation. So it's the foundation.
It's the foundation that's rocking the nation. Howard Grant's the host, Guardian Radio Station 96.9, 12 to 2 is the time. You can call the show or use the text line. Yeah, he educates, he informs. He goes against the norm. He's really got that zeal. Plus, he's a child of God.
Foundation. It's the foundation. Foundation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio, Howard Grant in your company, The Foundation. On this absolutely gorgeous Wednesday, it's getting hot in here. I feel like Nelly. It's getting hot, not in here, but outside. The temperature continues to rise. We're grateful. We're hoping that you get your air conditioners together. This is where you plug the information for the air conditions. Give Howard a call, 827-0111. We can make that thing happen for you. But make sure you got your stuff laid out, guys, because it's getting hotter. And you want to be able to be in a very cool environment as we move forward. I hope you're taking care of your flowers and your plants and so forth and so on. Is it only me? Because I do that. My wife, she thinks that I have this kind of a midlife crisis thing, right? She's saying, why you keep playing with the flowers and why you keep buying flowers and why you keep doing, well, baby, what you mean? You know what? I have this kind of an idea that if my environment is not, pristine, if I don't have this kind of I've always had that. I just need the environment to be pretty around me. It feel nice. So I can feel like relaxed, right? Feel good. That's what I do. But she seems to, oh my God, you're having a midlife crisis. I don't know, right? It's a beautiful day, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you so very kindly for tuning in today. You know, Wednesday is always a day that we try to have a conversation with a panel, sort of just breaking down some of the social issues, national, local, international. However, we continue to be able to talk about those things and engage you. So you know the line's going to be wide open today. You could be able to call and participate and be a part of the conversation here. Wednesday, May 3rd, 2003. Make sure you pick up your Guardian newspaper. And in the paper, you can be able to see Keith Bell, in his particular capacity, talks about the world must come to Haiti's aid. I know that this leads to some disdain and social pushback as it relates to this, but we're seeing a significant increase as it relates to just so that there's social agitation to participate. But I found it. I'm indifferent about it. I'm indifferent about the participation and the language that's being used. When they say Haiti needs a resolution, but it has to be able to be birthed from within Haiti. This is wild, right? You could also be able to read the Prime Minister said the Bahamas was unfairly criticized over FTX on a call with Lord Mayor of London, Nicholas Loynes, yesterday. The Prime Minister actually took on a very strong position. Read that in the papers today. See exactly what's what. A probe into the allegations against the MP is ongoing 5 days after the police announced that they had North Abaco Member of Parliament Kirk Cornish in custody and were questioning him, police continue their probe into the certain allegations against him. He said the Commissioner of Police, Clayton Fernandez, said, this is what he said yesterday. He says, asked if the investigation into the allegations against Cornish are ongoing or whether police found that there was no evidence to move forward. Fernandez said that the probe is ongoing. Read the paper, see exactly what's what. And also, you can be able to see if Al Dillett, he is the Consul General for Toronto, died at 68. I thought it was wild when I saw it come through my phone yesterday. I said, it's an amazing thing. Life is, you got to be able to cherish every moment. You don't know when you could be here. I don't think Ronnie knew that he was going to be passing on. I definitely don't think Al knew that he was going to be passing on. And all of us who kind of take every single one of the days with this kind of a reckless abandonment, we pursue our days without a very clear understanding that there should be purpose. We should fulfill something whilst we're here. I want to talk deeper like that. Let me put the lines out there so you can be able to participate. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, anywhere for the family of islands, 242-300-5720, or you can hit me up on the text line, 422-4796. Before we dive into it, I got to say happy birthday to Lord Thurlow. Calls me early this morning. He says, I said, so when are you going to come on? He always got these great stories for me. I said, so when are you going to come on with me, Lord Thurlow? He says, well, Howard, when I'm 80, I'll be 80 next year. He's 79 today. He said, I'll be 80 next year. I said, wait till you're 80 to come on the radio and have a conversation. He's still in the thick of it, always telling me about his participation and even in the proximity of those persons who have led the country, even from its inception. Great, always great talking with Lord Thurlow. Happy birthday to you. If you know him, you know him. If you don't know him, he'll let you know real soon. He's going to be sitting with us. But joining me today is my very good friend and a friend to the show, none other than Garth Rosborough, being able to sit here with us and chop these things down over the past few days. Garth, say good afternoon to people before we go forward.
Well, it's good to be back here with you again. Mr. Howard Grant, heard you've been pretty busy attempting to continue the conversation as to which way our country needs to trend and move forward. And we have challenging days that are all around us. But it almost seems to me that there's still some glimmer of hope ahead as we continue to try to shape our nation for the best little country in the universe.
My Wednesday show, I like banter. I want to go back and forth to talk with a true sense of transparency and be able to get into the thick of it, into the meat of the matter and really talk. So I always kind of reach out to you and other persons to be able to sit here and do that. I thought I'm grateful that you're sitting with me today to talk like this because, you started off by being able to say you heard that I was busy and I'm really trying to unravel this thing. Do you believe that persons think that this is necessary? Because people are starting to, and I feel like they think it's something negative that they say to me. They say, Howard, man, you're an idealist, almost flippantly, right? With this kind of a dismissive approach. Howard, you're an idealist, right? Like, forget you, right? And I'm looking at them like, is that such a bad thing?
The truth of media as we know it, it does definitely shape the way we think as a nation. It has a very heavy level of persuasion to all and sundry. It doesn't matter your religious calling. It doesn't matter your political affiliation. It doesn't matter which island you're from or from which other country your parents have descended from. When we listen to radio in the Bahamas, it's almost as if we're listening to the voice of the people. And I know in theological training, we said the voice of the people is the voice of God. For those who are theologically minded, you understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying the people themselves are God, but we often say that God speaks through numerous people, and when it's in one accord, we always feel that voice comes from God. And so whenever you hear the media people all pounding on one particular issue and one particular voice, one particular mindset, then the people take that to be the rational choice or the reason as to why, and we accept it. Very accepting, and this is why we continue to have the type of politics that we have in this country, because the masses are of two different persuasions, but they are in the majority. And so the majority continues to drive the conversation. When it comes to religion, we have major religions. Catholicism is major in this country. You have Anglicanism is major in this country. So when you talk about things like the death penalty, when you're talking about other issues in terms of repatriation and etc., it is these religions that will have the dominant force in terms of a conversation. The minor religions, like the little jumper church around the corner, a little Pentecostal here and there, unless you go into the big church, you got a prophecy on East Street. Now you're talking. Because when you talk to those people, they have a lot of weight in this country. And so what I like about your show, Howard Grant, is that you're opening the eyes of people. They may not readily recognize the worth of what you're saying, but if you follow these instructions, if you follow these little small little tokens of wisdom, it will lead you in a very positive direction. If you just open your eyes to recognize that the way I think hasn't gotten me too far, maybe I need to just open my mind and change the direction, and maybe things will start happening for me. I told a friend of mine that a circle comprises itself of 360 degrees. And so if you know that degree 90 is not working for you, then try degree number 89 or 73 or try 120 or, just try 140. Try a different angle, because on this compass of life, if you continue to go down the same road of negativity as we have done over the last 30 years, we will never get any further ahead. Someone has to, like you're doing, say to the people, look at our compass. We've been going on this particular trajectory now for the last 30 years and not gotten as far as we should. Let us try a new avenue, a new road, and maybe we can get further ahead.
I want to thank you so much for your kind words, man. You're a good, decent man. I appreciate you saying that. Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't write that out and tell him to say that. I didn't do that. I really appreciate that. I often say this when coming to this space. I was afforded. I don't tell you all my business. Now stop it. We can go right as far as to the edge, and then we can pull back. But I was offered another opportunity on a national platform to be able to not have a show like this, because it wouldn't work, right? So they offered me an opportunity, and I was very prayerful about it. I said, Lord, is this an attempt to take my voice? This is my prayer. I said, Lord, is this an attempt to take my voice? I need to be, as bad as I need to take care of my family. I think all of us know that there is a significant economic crunch, a socioeconomic crunch in our community. As bad as I need to take care of my family and invest in them, my son's coming out of school, my daughter needs to do this, my little baby, so forth and so on, I need some finances to make some things happen. Taking this position may really muffle me. Muffle the passion, the position, the articulation, the insight that you have given me to be able to speak truth to power. You tell me what you want to do, right? And so I prayed about it, and I think it wasn't 2 days, 3 days. I was standing at the line at BPL, and I got a telephone call, and on the call it says, Howard, this is happening, would you consider this? Instantaneously. There was no other options. Instantaneously. So to take this opportunity here, I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for Guardian Radio. I'm grateful for all those persons opening their arms and taking me back. Praise God for Dwight. Watch me. Dwight smiled. So he said, Howard, you back, right? So I said, yeah. But I say that to say, I don't see this as an opportunity to be able to get paid by, external entities to be able to be their voice. Sometimes people take on these positions and amplify certain pockets and concepts and ideas that exist in our society because, like you said, the collective consciousness of society sometimes can be presumed to be the voice of God.
That is correct.
But this is, in some ways, manipulation.
Very much so.
Because people come here with an underlining agenda. Watch me.
That's correct.
And the agenda is for their own purposes or for their organizations or their stakeholders, however the case may be. And so when I took this position, I wanted to be always aligned with sort of a nationalistic approach.
And there is no instant reward for that. As a matter of fact, oftentimes that reward doesn't even exist on this side of the world. You get that, they say, in the afterlife. And it's a very lonely road as well. I know people must think by now I am the Antichrist, but it's not that I'm Antichrist.
You are not, sir.
I'm very much pro-Christ. I'm very much pro-church. I believe in 2 and 3 people gathering and lifting up the name of God. But I'll say this to you. Remember, it was the chief priest who had Christ crucified. It was him who delivered our Messiah to Pontius Pilate. The church itself should be the voice of God. But what happens when the church changes from being that very same voice and becomes a tool of the devil? Thessalonians speaks about the son of perdition sitting in the temple of God, showing that he is God himself. And many, the scripture says in 2 Thessalonians, that many will be deceived. So how many deceptive wolves do we have in our nation? Men who profess to be men of God, but don't have the strength, Howard Grant, to stand as you are. And it's beginning to bother me because they're riding around in their Mercedes-Benzes, they're living in their lavish homes. Nothing is wrong with that. What is wrong, however, is when you seek this particular lifestyle, but you're not living according to your calling, which is to deliver men and women from the hands of Satan and put them in the blessed bosom of God. This is the issue that I have with churches. Now, do I have a Mercedes? Of course I do. Do I have a Jeep Wrangler? Of course I do. Do I have a nice home? Of course I do. Do I have a boat? Of course I do. But when we get involved politically, when we get involved socially, I'm willing to risk all of that for my country. And then you ask yourself the question, what is the reward for that? I'll tell you what the reward is. Oh, he wants to be a prime minister. Oh, he wants to be an MP. Oh, he wants to put his hand in the cookie jar. Does this language sound familiar to you, Howard?
Absolutely.
When you drive your truck, and I want people to know you have a very nice truck, and that's me talking a little bit of your business, right? But when they see you driving in your chariot, how he get that? He must be a drug dealer. Is this language sounding familiar to that of the Bible where they said, who's this Jesus Christ of Nazareth? Who does he think he is? They say that you're the king of the Jews. Tell us really who you are. And so when you talk to me of a Christian nation, I'm just simply asking the men and women of God at this time, please, put down your Mercedes-Benz for a day and take a walk in the neighborhood.
But it's hard.
Meet the violent offenders. Meet those people who have assault charges. Meet those people who have domestic abuse. Meet those people who don't have any clothes, who don't have any food. I know there's some churches doing it. I know there's some men of God doing it. But we need more of you to do it because why? If you were doing it, then our country would not be in the situation that it is. Politically speaking, very quickly, Howard, we depend on politicians to deliver this nation. But the truth be told is that a politician is just that. He is a politician. But a preacher is one who is in the business of delivering. And so when the politician goes off track, who is the one who's supposed to make the call, stand up, and pronounce to the politician, you've been found wanting by God, and if you don't change, this is what God can do to you. We don't get that anymore.
Now, I don't know if you've been following, I know you're always busy on your boat and your nice Mercedes-Benz, but let's talk like this. Over the past week and some, from last week, Monday. Last Monday, we had T.G. Morrison on with my very good friend.
Zion Baptist.
Of Zion Baptist.
Shirley Street.
Shirley Street, right? T.G. Morrison, Reverend T.G. Morrison, and also Ambassador Devin Rowe. The conversation was sort of a spillover of what they were talking about and role and responsibility of the church with the independent secretary over at BFM the week before. Friday gone, we had a very invigorating conversation with Pastor Mario Moxie, Bahamas Harvest, and really talking about this extension of the role and responsibility and the church standing in their particular capacity. And we went deep, and he started to talk about transgender, this sort of position for, the separation, the line that separates those of us who are natural and then the unnatural. He used natural. I thought it was wild. He used natural, and I said, it's crazy how in this day and age, words are being commandeered.
Oh, yeah.
Because no one uses natural. It's now the new normal. And the conversation is that... hey, listen, this lifestyle or this particular desire has always been with man. This is normal. Now, the new normal is there is a desire to transition, the transsexuals, the transgenders, so forth and so on. Now, I say that to say, we talked about the church and the foundation and the responsibility thereof. This week, I was deliberate. I was deliberate in trying to talk about it from a political standpoint. I see this as a trifecta. I see leadership as a trifecta, right? Let's call it organizational leadership. Organizational leadership has, if you look at political organizations, you get your leader, you get your deputy leader, you get your chairman, right? So that's a trifecta.
Or your treasurer.
Or your treasurer, right? So these particular persons, I believe that there's three elements. Even if you go back to the disciples, there were still three who had clinged to Jesus.
Peter, James, and John.
Right. This was the inner circle. So the three is a significant number here. Now there's three socially. Socially, there is a three that exists in this particular space also. And for me, that is the church, that is the politicians, and that is the private sector, right?
The people.
The people. You want to put the people, but the private sector, I believe that the private sector has a responsibility in these ways. Now, watch me. Let's do this. I deliberately took on the church. This week, we're taking on conversation about, from a political standpoint. We had an invigorating conversation yesterday with Albert Johnson. I wish I had 2 more hours because he keeps throwing things out. He keeps throwing. I write everything down. He's throwing the humanization concept that's being. I say, Ellsworth, we got to talk more. I got to bring you on a podcast because you can't just throw it on the table and then quickly run out of the room. We got to dissect these things and talk about it. Now, my point to you, though, the thread that runs through the conversation is convictions. Is there conviction in our community, in the church? Because the church has yielded its social position after 73. We continue to talk like this.
That is correct.
The church has given up at the feet of the politicians in this country their position as the head of the community in a sense. Okay.
That's correct.
Now, I often say that because we can see very clearly that your strength in articulation, for many in the church, that their strength in articulation and their sort of a fire-breathing message from the pulpit about the direction that the country should take politically, so forth and so on, with no innuendos. Listen, this is just clear and straight off the top.
You and I must have had that same dose of Holy Ghost this morning. So talk on. You're on the right track. I'm listening.
Listen, no innuendo. They ain't even, there's ain't nothing subtle about this. You understand? This is where it is. And that yields, watch me, that yields them being able to get the tangibles that they sought after. Whether that is for their congregation, their church body, or them as an individual, after it's said and done, and their horse in the race, finds himself in a position of leadership, then we see conversations about whether or not this one get crown land. Who's on this board? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? And then we hear a message that comes from the pulpit that says, God has blessed me. Hold on, sir. You need to stop.
Now, the average Bahamian is going to misinterpret what you just delivered to the radio audience. I can call my friend's name. I woke up this morning, looked on Facebook, and saw a lovely rendition of music from Sharad Johnson. I think the song was I'm Still Here, or whatever. Still Holding On. Still Holding On was the song that she sang. And it was so invigorating, it was so inspirational, that it put me in this very same spirit that you're in. And I'm listening to a sermon by a preacher, and he's hitting the nail on the head. These men have gotten words from the Lord or thoughts from the Lord, a message from the Lord for this nation, and they can preach this message on a pulpit. And that's as far as they participate. They don't get any deeper other than what's in it for me. I only wish that message that they speak could reach Parliament. But we have something in our country where we have a separation of church and state.
A gulf.
Now,
like the rich man and Lazarus, there's the gulf between the preacher and the politician.
And I know the line's going to light up in a minute, and I'm going to let them light up because guess what now? I'm going to say this to the Bahamian people very clearly. Pre-1969, well, I should say 67, okay? And then before 73, of course, the ruler of the Commonwealth of Nations was Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, head of state, but also, in one person, head of what? The Church of England. Where did we ever derive on this notion
The Anglican Church.
that there should be a separation of state and church? The Catholic people of this country very well know that the Pope himself is not only a religious leader, but he's also the leader of Vatican City. He controls the
country.
state. Yes.
It's a country unto itself. Yes.
And so God himself, Yahweh, Elohim, El Shaddai of the Old Testament was suzerain. He was the suzerain. He was a top man. Okay? We were vassals. We were servants. The suzerain, God, Theos, was both God of righteousness, but also God of the state of Israel. He was the king of Israel until they asked for a king. What I am trying to hint to the Bahamian people today is, until we have God-fearing men and women in parliament, not just mere statesmen, not just mere politicians, men who have a love for the better things and the holier things and the righteous things of life, this country will never get one step further. We're stuck.
Let me take a telephone call. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what to do. Give me a call, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Anywhere within family violence, 242-300-5720, or hit me up on the text, 422-4796. First call on the line. Calling on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Good morning. Good afternoon, Howard.
Hey, what's happening, my brother?
Everything cool?
What's up, Papa?
You see it light up long time, eh?
I see you. That's why I'm on the break. I said, let me see who this is. Go ahead,
God, that
Papa.
ain't my minute.
I haven't heard from Papa in so
calling
long.
off. God, how you doing, Mr. God?
He said, what are you doing? Put your earphones on.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Papa.
God.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you sound like you know the word, right?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you can get a chance, because you sound like you know the word just like... And you sound like you say you're a minister in the gospel or something? Pastor or bishop?
Well,
I'm sure he got a degree in theology. He needs to
Yeah, I
stop.
hear him say it on the show. You be doing a good job. I just wish I could have said amen. I mean, I say amen, but I couldn't give you 5, especially when you be on the other show without calling the name of anybody.
Uh-huh.
You be doing a good job over there, and especially I like the part when you say sometimes that's the only language people is understand. I agree with you 1,000%. You know what I talking about,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, God, I don't want to know, like, how you feel about, it ain't about me in your opinion. What does the word say about paying tithes? Because some of us also believe, like, we could give the money to poor people, right? And I want to know if that's wrong to do. Then the next thing is that with the same thing with tithes, like, if you get like $10, do I give it to one church, or is it okay if you say it's right for us to give tithes? I don't know if I give it to one church is okay, or if I could split it up as much as far as it could go to help out with the church. God, before you answer that, you understand the question?
I know we have had this discussion before, so if Howard allows me to answer this, I'll
that's true, though, because I
answer
asked it before on Howard's show, and the people
I'll answer as quickly as I could.
That's true. Howard, I didn't want to know, like, why are they treating the people in Auckland like that? I listen to the TV, I listen to the WhatsApp them. I hear people calling, business people calling from over there saying, the police and all riding around trying to scrap and beg for gas to move around to do their job. They saying the mailboat come when it won't come. Now, I don't know what God or your opinion is. I was thinking, like, maybe the government should let the mailboat operators run for a different island, since it seems like they don't respect the people over there. Maybe they get too much money or whatsoever. But if they ain't doing a good job and the people complaining, I think they need to put their foot down on it. I think the Ministry of Transport need to say something. That being weeks now going from the people say the lighters be off sometime, the waters be off. Now they saying ain't no gas to move around. The police can't even move around to do what they supposed to do.
I can make 2 calls, Papa.
One more question, Howard.
Go ahead.
What's going on with the questioning of this MP? See, Howard, if that was me or you, someone accused for rape or hitting them or whatsoever, we'd have been dealt with more quicker. I trying to figure out if the Commissioner of Police, and first of all, I must say, I like the Commissioner of Police. I think he's a decent person. But I think he need to get up off his royal tail and enforce the law and make it more quicker, man. Not saying to make the man guilty, Let us know. Get to the conclusion. Do your investigation. It's 24 hours. Even if you have to work in the night overtime, do it quickly. Don't make us feel like you coming back to us, Commissioner of Police, to tell us the same, what we call foolishness, when you said that it wasn't sufficient evidence to charge that minister the other day for allegedly rolling over the police foot. Now, we want them to treat these MPs, it doesn't matter if they're FNM or PLP, the same way you treat any average citizen. Right now, it seems a little funny, like some people above the law, and because it's the politician, and I think we need to get to the stage where we vote for our commissioner of police rather than him having to answer to prime ministers and ministers them, because it seems funny like they waiting on the politicians to tell them what to do, and I don't think it's fair. I think you need to get off your royal tail and hurry up and get to the conclusion to this, because we was a little disappointed how long the other case take. We ain't saying that you're wrong for telling us that we ain't sufficient evidence, but do it a little faster, man, because anytime it's politician involved, especially when they're in government, it's like you're all scared to do what you're supposed to do, but when it comes down to Howard or God, then you'll drag us and butter up and do whatsoever you got to do to us. Howard, did they make 30? Howard?
Yeah.
Did they make 34 years? Now, I could have been dead. I got shot on the 3rd of May and Lewis said, I thank God. I just want to say, God, I thank you, like I normally always say, for life. Thank God for life. To still be here. In spite of, I don't like being blind, but I'm still alive, so thank God for life. All right, God, I'll hang up and listen if I would let you answer.
Thank you so much, man. We can touch these two things, the Acklands and the question of the MP. I mean, paying tithes and Acklands, but I want to touch this question of the MP before we go out of here. Now, we can take this commercial break, but I want to touch this. The Commissioner of Police, Clayton Fernando, in the story that we read this morning, indicated it's still ongoing. This particular idea of expedience, we know the language that they spoke prior, that they will not be pressured into being able to execute these things by social media or the media in general. There is a due course of action for them to be able to take, but it's our responsibility to continue to be able to put their proverbial feet to the fire and always lay these sort of questions on the table. So when we come back, we can be able to chop those things down and talk about these things. Guys, the lines are wide open. Be a part of the conversation this Wednesday right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Sitting in studio with me is my good friend Garth Roseborough. We're going to chop it down right after this.
The Foundation.
The Foundation. We'll be back right after this.
The Foundation. The Foundation.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Guardian Radio and the Foundation are on the move.
Bahamas, this one's for you.
SBT, Small Business Thursdays. Every Thursday, the Foundation with Howard Grant will highlight small businesses throughout the country, far and wide. Your products, services, prices, and personality. We want to hear it all. Get your 30 or 60-second advertisement heard on air at a fraction of the cost. We here at the Foundation understand the times and don't want you to be left behind. With Guardian Radio, you reach your specific demographic, and it is unmatched.
We reach thousands daily.
Get your products off the shelf and your services in their hearts. Small Business Thursdays with the Foundation, only on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. For more information, call 302-2300 or the Help Me Howard line at 827-0111. SBT. Small Business Thursdays. Get your business moving today.
Samantha's always on point. She doesn't miss a thing. When she signs up for any insurance policy, she reads all the fine print. She knows what's covered, what's not covered, and she's aware of her deductibles. When it comes to insurance, it pays to know your policy. Review every insurance policy so you know what you're covered for. This message was brought to you by the Insurance Commission of the Bahamas.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM.
Foundation. Foundation. The Foundation. The Foundation. Foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant in your company on this beautiful Wednesday, May 3rd, with the Foundation BD being able to chop it down today. You know, Wednesday is a day that we sort of we commune. We collectively come to the table and throw our 5 cents on there, sort of chopping it down. And we know that those persons in significant leadership positions are listening in. And, you know, I think we have, and I'm in the studio joined by my very good friend, Garth Roseborough. He's being able to, participate in what we're doing today. Now, Garth, I want to say this. I think we have, whether it's conditioning or, just the social expectation that any criticism is negative criticism. I think that a great deal of persons, they have assessed and sort of attributed criticism to negativity. A lot of persons, I think it takes exposure. I think it takes education. I think it takes, in many ways, clairvoyance to understand that criticisms can be constructive. Criticisms you can be able to extract from it and use it accordingly. A lot of our politicians, I want to go back to, I had Maurice Tynes on Monday. Great conversation. Watch me. Maurice Tynes started to talk about the division of leadership in the country. Then he started to say that he believes that there should be two very clear tiers in our country that we elect. That there should be a tier for parliamentarians and those persons who are responsible for legislation, so forth and so on, that can articulate, understand, and dissect what needs to happen going forward in the country. And then there should be a tier for local leadership, which is like local government, for those persons to be able to deal with accordingly. He says now, his belief is, he said he doesn't want to mince his words with this. He want to be very clear about it and makes no apology about it. He says that a lot of leaders, now, he's been in the House of Assembly participating for 20 some years, and he's still participating with writings. He says a lot of leaders in our country are not equipped to be able to be on this initial tier that we talked about, this national parliamentary tier that can be able to pontificate, articulate, dissect what needs to happen. They should have been on the local level, but they're up here. And I thought that was an amazing thing that he says that.
But not even to belittle even the local level. We have some people who just what we call local, who never want to be in that higher tier, but whose mindset is much higher than that of any parliamentarian or prime minister. Mm-hmm. What our country fails to actually be able to embrace is that of checks and balances. We have no checks and balances in this country. I'll just use as simple as the police force, because I know everybody knows the police force, right? And we give all respect to the police force. But what happens when a police officer disrespects the law? Who's going to lock him up if he's popular? Who's going to lock up the MP because he's popular if he does wrong? Where is the check? Where is the balance?
I don't know whether or not the popularity preserves them. I believe that the fraternity preserves them. I think a lot of men in this country run into fraternity.
I will
whether that is, watch me, whether that is the fraternity of lodge, the fraternity of leadership as it relates to becoming a member of parliament, the fraternity of their political organization, the fraternity of whatever their organization. Men run into the security of fraternity because they know we are mortal men and we will mess up one day. There needs to be relationship to ensure that I can remain buoyant. So I don't believe it has anything to do with individual popularity. I believe it's a linking and a relationship that pulls them up.
Well, situations will vary. I give you the instance of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. The man did miracles for everybody. He was very popular. But who was more popular than him? And wrong. Give us Barabbas. Give us the thief. Give us the crook. Give us the robber. That's the things that the population chooses. Everybody knew Barabbas was the big. You can't sleep knowing Barabbas was out and loose. So he had to go before the courts. But when we got to take Barabbas and compare him to Howard Grant, Howard Grant gonna die today. We're gonna take Barabbas. When we take a well-known drug dealer in our community who's looking out for everybody, we're going to choose the drug deal over you. That's just, and this is saying Christian nation people. That's just the way it is. You see? So I think popularity has something to do, and I think each situation will vary, but I'm just simply saying when the police does wrong, who's going to lock up the police? If you have a local government that has its own police constabulary, right? Its own police force, unless I commit an offense in Blue Hill Road, then the local police should be able to lock up the Royal Bahamas Police Force if they do wrong in that particular district. They're district police. But the police force may be able to go throughout the entire 39 constituencies of the country. But if you commit an offense in any one particular district or constituency, the local constituent can actually say to a police officer, he did wrong, lock him up. But we don't have those checks and balances in our country. So we don't even know if there are some police officers who are corrupt who are bringing in guns and drugs into this country. We don't know. We have no idea. I'm not saying it's happening, but it's still a possibility. And who's going to say it is? It is or it isn't.
But it falls back on enforcement. It falls back to these particular things. I got a couple of texts that says when we talk about the question that Papa asks.
Yeah.
It falls back to enforcement. It falls back to, like you said, the checks and balances. It falls back to transparency. It falls back to...
They don't need transparency. They don't need
conviction.
accountability because there's no checks and balances. The prime minister is the sole authority of our country. It's almost like a dictatorship, as it were.
Wow.
It is what it is.
Wow. Now, answer this question now, because I had a view as it relates to paying tithe. Papa came in and kind of threw that on the table.
Papa knows that's a show in and of itself.
Yeah, it is. Really
and he knows I can handle that question too.
But I just believe, in my view, I've grown to understand that, and you know, you've been taught to pay your tithes. Your Grammy say, "Well, pay your tithes, baby, and make sure you'll always have when you take give God His portion." Grammy never tell you this, right? And as you grow, you understand something. And with reading and dissecting the Word of God, he said the poor will always be with us, right? And he said, "The least that you do for these, you do for me," right? And a very clear understanding with your consciousness that you can contribute when you can. But in a depressed economy like we have, talk to me. Somebody tell me the other day, got a call. They said this particular church made X amount of $100,000 within the first quarter, right? Then the number was substantial. And I said, this is bananas, right? These are just people calling me and just having conversations.
That question that Papa gave you, Howard Grant, and the listening audience here in the Bahamas and abroad is so loaded. You have no idea how deep we could take that conversation.
Yeah.
I can tell you how church monies are used in this country, in our own Haitian communities, to bring more Haitians into this country.
You wild
on a loaner system. I pay for you to come. You work for me.
You are wild.
And then after you paid your debt, you get.
I've never heard this before.
But I know some things. I told him I am not a perfect man.
Put allegedly on.
I'm a sinner man like everyone else, but I know some things because I believe the Spirit speaks to me. The pastor of these churches, let me tell you what they do. You come in from Haiti, they send for you, and they teach you English, and you go out, they find the $2,000 for your work permit, and you get your work permit.
God, this is crazy what you're saying.
And you are now working to pay back the pastor and the church with interest. Once you have gotten those funds and you're paying your bill, we can now send for your wife, we can now send for your children, we can now send for your uncle, we can now send for your aunt. It's a business. So, see, you got to understand the world is a business.
Garth, we are national radio.
Yeah, I'm
you
just
got
telling
to
you.
say allegedly.
No, I'm not saying allegedly because I know some situations. I don't know exactly who the pastors are, but check it out. Say allegedly then.
Okay,
just to keep the peace.
Praise God.
Okay, I just say it. I'm a guest on the show.
Praise
allegedly.
God.
Okay. Allegedly, since you want me to use this new word allegedly, because we talked about words these days now. So let's start with these words that you're using so loosely.
Just allegations allegedly. Unless you have proof.
Okay. But I ain't gonna bring no proof.
Oh, that's what I tried to tell you.
But I know how the system works.
Okay, go ahead.
Tithes and offering, to answer Papa's question. You read the book of Deuteronomy chapter 14, where it speaks to the law of tithing, which is an Old Testament principle. And the Old Testament principle says to you that you're supposed to take your tithe to the place where God will show you. And if the place is too far for you...
Hold on. Wait. This is a decree that was given to Abraham.
This is a decree.
Go to the land of Ur, to a place I will show you.
Okay. Now we're talking to Moses.
Right.
The law of tithe is given to now Moses. This is Moses we're talking to. Okay? Moses now is given the instruction that they're to take the tithe to a place which God will show them. If that place is too far for you, then you turn the tithe into money. So first principle, tithe wasn't money. Tithe was grain. Tithe was sheep. Tithe was oxen. Tithe was these particular provisions, agrarian provisions.
Hold on, we got to do Bible study.
Well, I told you it's a full story.
We got to do Bible study.
Show. I told you.
You got to do Bible study.
So let me ask you a question. If all the tithe of the church was 50 cows every month, how many cows does your church want to have?
Oh my God, it's 1 o'clock. Listen. Let me take a quick commercial break. You got me deep in the thing, man. Ladies and gentlemen, we're deep into the conversation today.
Y'all open up this can of worms.
You're going deep. We can talk about this. Let's get to commercial break, then we can get to news and be right back after this.
The foundation. The
Foundation. We'll be back right after this.
The foundation. The foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
My Gateway is the centralized, safe, secure way to access and pay for government services online. Go to mygateway.gov.bs and log in to request a police character certificate, renew your passport or driver's license, and more. Receive emails confirming requests and alerts when documents are ready. You must have a valid, government-issued ID in order to collect documents. My Gateway is fast, easy, and convenient. Go to mygateway.gov.bs and register today.
Get ready for the ultimate beach soccer showdown. The Bahamas Football Association presents the 2023 CONCACAF Beach Soccer Championship from May 8th to 14th. Head to the Beach Soccer Stadium beside the Sydney Poitier Bridge and witness the action. Cheer on the Beach Boys as they compete against powerhouses from 11 countries across the region, like Mexico, El Salvador, and the USA. Gather your friends, family, and flags and cheer on our Beach Boys. Admission is absolutely free. For more information, visit BahamasFA.net. Don't miss out on all the action at the 2023 CONCACAF Beach Soccer Championship, May 8th to 14th. See you there.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation. 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 The foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant in your company, the foundation, on this absolutely gorgeous Wednesday afternoon, really being able to chop it down, have a good conversation with my good guy in the studio with me, Garth Roseborough. The lines are wide open. Please participate. Be a part of the conversation. Howard, why does all your conversations go back to the Bible, go back to, this is not a religious show. You know how much text I get like that, Garth? This is not a religious show. This is Z&S. Leave that for Vaughn Miller, them, you know. Vaughn Miller been off the radio. But the truth is I think that a lot of us don't recognize that what we've rejected, what we have, let aside, what we have kind of pushed behind us, we didn't seek to kind of find out more information. There is principle that exists in these spaces.
Yes, there is.
There's principle.
Yes, there is.
There is principle that existed from the foundation of the earth. Watch me, Garth. I can touch this. Just the line's open. 323-623-2325, 431-632-54259, 242-300-5720. Hit me up on the text 422-4796. Yeah, I did it fast. I won't be decent with this because I know people's superstition is heightened when you start to talk about this. The perversion of the structure of the Word of God, when inverted, is used to go contrary for darkness. What am I saying? Okay, watch me. When persons start to talk about witchcraft and Obeah and so forth and so on, Santeria, all these things like that, this is a perversion of the principles that exist in the Word of God. Inverted. So they do it backwards to get the opposing objective. You do your studies, you can find out this stuff, right? My point to you is that the principles that exist in this word, the principles, whether you like to refute it or not, even from a scientific standpoint, a lot of persons are significantly finding themselves in debate as to whether or not the earth is flat, whether it's round, whether there's a wall, whether there's an edge, where this is that. And they all find themselves back into ancient texts. And this new age science, quantum physics, actually indicates that there must be supremacy somewhere. My only point is to you that this is principles that you shouldn't reject. You should at least seek to understand it. Knowledge. In all you're getting, you got to get wisdom. In all you're getting, just grab and gravitate towards these particular things. Because guess why? Those men who know the Muslims and whatnot, they know your Bible. They know that. Right? They know the Torah, they know the Bible, they know all these particular things. And you have to be able to educate yourself and understand how you take these particular steps. Now, you had me to read something. I can read this. I can read this. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, this man I got to be reading, right? Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22. I want to be able to read it, right? It says, thou shalt truly tithe. Now, this goes back to the question that Papa asked about paying tithe. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22, right? And I'm reading from the King James Version. Should I read from the King James Version? All right, let's read it from the King James, right? It says, thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year. And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God, in the place which he shall choose to place his name there, the tithe and thy corn of thy wine and of thy oil and of thy firstlings and of thy herbs and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God always. And if the way be too long for thee, this is what you're talking about, if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there, when the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, then shalt thou turn it into money, and bind up the money in thine hand, which is your own hand, and shalt go unto the place which the Lord thy God has chosen. And thou shalt bestow the money for whatever thy soul lusted after. This is bananas right here. I just want to let you know that. Or for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth. And thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thine household. And the Levite that is within the gates, thou shalt not forsake him. The Levite is the priest, for he hath no part nor inheritance. And at the end of 3 years thou shalt bring forth all the tithes and thine increase, and the same year thou shalt lay up within thine gates. Here ends the reading. You want to go further than that?
No, I just want to show some comparisons here very quickly. Number one, the principle of tithing has had nothing to do with until the burden became too heavy for you to carry the burden. And so an alternative way was given to where you can turn those goods into money.
Sell your ox.
So let's go to a church here in New Providence now and take money out of the equation and let everyone bring their grits, their corn, their rice, their barley, their oats, etc. to the house of God on a given Sunday or weekend.
Hold on.
I want to stick with the provision side of it.
Hold on. But that principle can't apply here. Because we import everything, and I got to give you the grits out of my cupboard. I ain't got no flour, and I ain't grind it down, and I ain't bring it. Talk to me.
Well, I understand that, but let's go with this principle, that if that were to be the case, and we were to give this to the man or woman of God on the weekend, how much grits could they eat? within a month before the weevil takes it out. Before the mites come and everything else comes and devours that which is too much. But because it's money, a church can collect $5, $6, $10, $25 million, $billion on any weekend and still have room to take more. And so when you look at what tithing really is, the whole idea of money allows that idea of tithe to be totally absorbed into one person when that one person itself could not absorb all that food. So once again, I spoke to you earlier about checks and balances. That does not equate. So here is the truth. The tithe is given to you. All things belong to God. All things belong to God. And God has blessed you. You are his son. You are his daughter. And he bestows these blessings to you. And he says to take the tithes, the 10% of that. And I want you to put that aside for 3 years. And at the end of 3 years, you want to go to college, you want a new car, you want a down payment for a house, you want to start a new business. Hey, you have the money right here now, and you can rejoice and let the world know that your God has blessed you. We have too many broke Christians in the Bahamas because we don't understand what tithing really is.
Yeah, but the
offering
pastor tell you broke because you don't tithe.
Well, the book of Malachi chapter 2 and 3 shows you that the priest was taking the tithe money for themselves, not giving it to the people. The priest had given the temple to the governor as an apartment. He had one-eyed sheep on the altar. He had three-legged sheep on the altar, and he had foreign wives, and he was breaking the Sabbath days. So these priests in the book of Malachi had no regard for you or anyone else other than themselves. This is the same spirit that we're having in these last days.
Absolutely.
Of pastors being totally self-absorbed and selfish to where they take your rent money, they'll take your mortgage money, they'll take your car note money, they'll take your children's college fund, they'll take it all and leave you with absolutely nothing. And if you ask certain pastors, I used to say certain pastors, because all pastors aren't the same, for a loan or to give them a couple of dollars to help with your rent or whatever, let us pray. Well, the book of James says that when a pastor says that to you, that pastor has sinned. There's no praying in this. So let me go back to something else Papa mentioned with Acklands and everywhere else, right? The biggest issue we have, and this is where tithing comes into play, is respect. We have no respect for each other. We have no respect for Acklands. We have no respect for Rhode Island. We have no respect for Inagua. We have no respect for Andros. We have no respect for the family of islands. And even here in New Providence, many of us are not respected by those who have the authority to give money. So these politicians now collect taxes, which is similar to that of tithing. We all pay these taxes to the system, but they control the system. And they're taking the system money and they're driving around in the Ford Explorer Jeep and they got the big mansion with elevator going up in it and everything else. No, I'm showing you the comparison now because it's the same demon who's the preacher who's taking the tithe money. It's the same demon who's the politician taking all the tax money and leaving the poor man, like we say in the Bible, poor man Lazarus, sick and disabled. The reason why you're poor, I almost said it, is because you just don't know any better. But if you read, like you said, you don't have to read the Bible as a holy book. Read the Bible based on principles. And you will find out that there's so much good in that book that can take you so far in life. If you have to turn to the Quran, so be it. I'm sure there's wonderful things in the Quran. If you need to go to Jamaica Road to the Rasta camp, you'll find that there are good things there to learn as well. There's goodness to learn everywhere, but you first have to be willing to learn. And a lot of our Bahamian people, you all know too flipping much. Before you talk, you open, and you don't know nothing. You just, I would say it so bad, you're just dumb and stupid, man.
Radio. Stop it. Let me take a telephone.
Come on, people.
Let me take a telephone call. Behave yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, the lines are wide open. First call on the line. Go ahead.
I just had a moment.
Good afternoon, Mr. Howard Grant.
Good afternoon, my brother. What's happening?
Yeah, but listen, Howard.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Good afternoon, God.
Hey, my brother.
Hey, God.
Yes, sir.
Listen, man. Hey, I still impressed, right? I got to find who you is. All right? Now, I still row in this boat, but they won't cut my throat, right? And any man that doesn't fear the wrath, I'll walk in his path because we don't fear the wrath of men, but rather of God, right?
Yes, sir.
But God, if anyone, what you said today is uncontested. I mean, from the church and state concept to the concept of what is tithes to the thing is with the church and state, and we know how Constantine used that. But you don't realize something you said is so aphoristic. The Bible has withstood a lot of embellishment,
what you call incorrect translations in biblical texts. Yeah. But we still have enough to go on, right?
Yeah.
But we know how the papacy has used certain terminologies in order to get people to give tithes in a monetary sense. Mm-hmm. So they throw the money up in there, I guess, if it hit the ground, God ain't want it, right? But that's just a little joke. But listen, I'm making a little run, but you know something, God, I got to find who you is, because if I go, I really like you to guide my children, man. I used to realist. You see me, my brother? I can't even believe I hear this from my mouth. Everything you said, and until then, and so, of course we know the will, God, the will to do good, the will to learn, right? That's where our problem is at.
That's it.
We are stagnated by everything you have said. We wouldn't move forward until these things are being accomplished. So I don't know if we are wallowing, but man, continue to pray for this nation, my brother. All right, Lord, I don't know who you is, but because God, you off the chain, my brother. Bless up.
Thank you, man. I appreciate your telephone call. Let me take a next telephone call, God. Caller, you on the line with us live. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller, you on the line with us live. You there? You there? Under there? 323-623-2325, 431-632-5429. Anywhere from the family of violence, 242-300-667. I'm sorry, 242-300-5720, 422-4796. If you know, you know. 242-300-6673 is another space in another place, right? It's just, you all need to stop. The thing in my head, I try to get it out, right? All right, so I want to read a couple of these texts. It says, please announce your guest's name for the listeners again. It says he's a wise man, Garth Rosborough. That's Garth. He's here with us in the studio today. And there's a couple other texts. It says, you all can preach all you like. It won't help this country one little bit. 60% of police are corrupt, and 70% of the pastors are corrupt. Wow. Howard, your guest is 100% correct, right? Let me see if I can take a next telephone call. Caller, you on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Yeah, a pleasant good afternoon, Brother Howard.
Good afternoon, my brother. What's happening?
To your guest as well. Howard, I mean, I know you're talking about the Bible. I'm a Bible man also. But Howard, there's something that is, I don't know if you heard what was read on the news. This is a day of infamy in this country. The Chief Justice ruled that out of the 300 and something houses that were built, only 2 will be knocked down. And that they were the only 2 persons who did not quite understand that there was an injunction or whatever it was. I mean, what kind of... Our country is being stolen right from under us. And if we don't fight for it, we don't deserve to have it. How long has these people been in the Bahamas? Signs were posted, it was on the news, and these people were in the Bahamas for how long? They just landed yesterday and they just started to build. It will be a country of laws. If this government doesn't appeal that to the highest, take that to the Privy Council, I believe that there's going to be trouble in this country. And I know you're talking about the Bible today, and I don't want to take you off your course.
No, go ahead.
But I am right now, buddy, I am so incensed about what is going on. Bahamians, if you don't stand up, if you don't change these people, if y'all don't fight for this country, the people are going to come and they're going to take it right from under your nose, and it starts from the top. You know, the Bible speaks about wickedness in high places, and that is what is going on in this country. You're going to have these 300, 400 people who can go and just build up structures and say that they didn't know it was an injunction. Where have these people been? Come on, man. We got to do better, man. I said, man, listen here. I am mad. Anyhow, pray for me, buddy.
I pray for you. Thank you, my brother, for your telephone call. What does that anger propel you to? That's what I just want to know. Is there a propulsion for a revolution, for a change? Is there a propulsion for uniting under one umbrella, one voice to be able to ensure that we stand for what is ours? There has already been a release from our former Prime Minister. Now we, with a conscious understanding, must shift that. Our former Prime Minister, Perry Christie, released into the atmosphere of our country, and we've seen it repeated in national, private, governmental capacities straight through since the pronouncement. It is what it is.
Nothing, you know, I don't want to sound negative. I'll tell you what's killing the country. it's selfishness and greed, period. The average person in our country who does well does not show sufficient concern for the person in this country who's not doing well. Yes, there are those who are part of the Red Cross Society and Salvation Army and other good works, and they give out food and so forth to help. But in terms of lifting the mentality of our nation, somehow we have to find a way to begin mentoring young women to be ladies and young men to be gentlemen. We have to start adopting the youth and pointing our own youth in the right direction so that by chance any of them are to enter into the hallowed halls of Parliament, they would have the understanding to legislate and fight for our country. To just simply go downtown with banners and placards and, oh, I'm mad, oh, these people causing a problem, that will end in a very violent situation where no one
keep saying that, but
wins.
I don't believe so.
Well, you say no violence only because you yourself, you're a tamed man. Maybe not at home, but how I'm looking at is very much so tamed. You're an educated man. You don't feel as fully accomplished as you could be, but you're very well accomplished. That's not your scene. But we have, can I say some things on this show without
ahead,
feeling
that's why I call you.
Being rude?
Go ahead, sir.
We got some idiots in this country who that's all they are about. They know no other language.
Idiocracy.
Yes. We have people in here who bashing the wife's head, who bashing the husband's head, who bashing the children's head. We got some very violent people in this country, some people who don't know this God that you even speak about. They have that potential to start something like this. And the people like yourself who are reserved and well kept, you too will be affected because it's going to overspill to your home, to your neighborhood.
I'm always baffled by the possibility of those spoiled or rotten apples in our society with the capability of being able to start such major mischief, right? I'm baffled by it. Let me tell you why. All of us have come from the same schools, right? And every time it comes from, when we get to this point and position and we start to talk about what the schools need to do and reform education and fortify it with this particular curriculum, so forth and so on, people say, well, they don't start at school. It started in the home, right? Forget this particular idea. There's a great deal of people, even from the beginning of time, that are birthing children. Watch me.
Demons.
Oh, my God. They're birthing children. The children coming out here into this world, right? And they're teaching these children the darkest of dark, right?
Demons.
Right? In their homes. What is our responsibility socially? The child already here. What we can do? We can't throw them in the fire. We can't throw them away. What is our responsibility
This is why
with these children now?
This is why I am so hard on the church. Not because I'm criticizing the church. I don't want anyone to believe that I'm here to beat up the church. That is not why I'm here.
The church should understand that this is constructive.
What I am attempting to do is to encourage the church to go out there and to make war with sin and wrongdoing as its mandate lies. If you're not prepared to go to war with the devil, then why are you even a church? You have to go into these highways and byways, and the Bible uses the word compel them to come in. And that goes straight across the board because someone got to go and preach to these Haitian Bahamian children or these Haitian children too, because they are the future. And if they are violent,
I want to say something.
And if they're violent, then we're going to have still a violent future.
I want to say something.
You got to share love in those communities too. We have a lot of work to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, I had a conversation. I think I said this before prior. I've come up in 8 Morrock, right? Now people say, oh, Howard, y'all got things, right? Even in my school at 8 Morrock High School, they always identified my family as a little different, right? Oh, y'all better. I said, how can it be better? I right here in 8 Morrock with you. Y'all don't make no sense. My
light
family,
skin and well fed.
This is probably what it is. It's a little wide. I'm a little wider than them. And I got grease in my hair, right? So we got property from sea to sea in 8 Morrock, right? But nonetheless, now I come up where right on the backside, I had some of my family members would sell a piece of property to those persons who came from Haitian descent, right? So right over here in the bushes, I would hear people, they take my brother name, right? So we would used to yell around the yard, big yard. And if you call my brother, Stephen, they hear the Haitian saying, Stephen, right? So we understand that the proximity that existed in these particular spaces, we shared in an environment, right? When I went to school, there were people who would tell us stories right, about these particular communities, right? We had friends from this community who would say to us, well, my father touched me, or my older brother, or my uncle, so forth and so on, baffling to us. It ain't Maroc. Absolutely baffling to us at that age and time. We still couldn't really grasp what this meant, right? We understood that we don't do this must be them, right? I say that to say that there is a culture. When we get older, we start to really talk about this. And for those persons who come from this particular community and the ability to articulate this without the fear of saying it, we've heard it enough. There is a culture that perpetuates from these particular communities that this is what they do. And so I had a conversation with Stephanie Sinflor. And this is when human rights was at the forefront of being able to agitate for what Bahamians should have done as it relates to what was happening down at the detention center and so forth and so on, right? So I said, Stephanie, just on the side, I said, Stephanie, I want to talk to you. Stephanie was the head at that particular time. I also said this to Louis Georges, right? Stephanie was the head, and I said to Stephanie, Stephanie, what's wild is that this is not the culture of the Bahamas. And then I laid it out on the table. And I said to her, why don't you take your language back to the communities where these particular persons exist and say to them that if you desire to be a part, to ascend to society, you have to know that this culture is taboo. We don't do that here, and there could be no expectation. If someone touches you, this is what you should do. This is what you should do. But there is a desire, right? In many, I don't know whether or not they're shifting, but there is a desire to always be able to speak condescendingly to the Bahamian society or to an established society and say, y'all are not doing this, y'all are not treating these people the right way. But there is a clear contrast. How do we amalgamate and become a part of the community? You can't do that if you're still in this small sector of society and perpetuating your own cultures and where you're coming from. So my point to you is that for us to educate them, they have to be able, just like you said, to want to learn. You have to want to learn. You have to want to be, because all of them aren't the same. There's a great deal of them who are now ascending and amalgamating into society, and they are now getting jobs, they're doing well, they're traveling, they're doing all these wonderful things here in this country. But the fact of the matter is that they had to they had to tough it out in some of these environments, and education caused them to be able to move in different sectors. Do you believe we should do more as a society to identify these persons that are here, to educate them about the culture that exists in our country?
That's a loaded question. And we can always do more. I just noticed, as you said earlier, Mr. Dolat has passed away, and my condolences also to his family. He passed away in Toronto at age 68. But his family is also from Haitian descent. And he has done well for himself. He was actually the Consul General for the Bahamas in Toronto, representing our country as an ambassador. We do have those in our country who are doing extremely well. I just feel that we have such great opportunities to take the children of these countries, using our school systems to teach them a different and a better way. And when I say that to you,
I agree with you 100%.
We all know that, hey, let's just say the truth. The truth is, believe it or not, in all of its debacle, in all of its confusion, in all of its mayhem and violence, Haiti is a very beautiful land mass. I'm talking about the land mass itself. I'm not talking about the nation itself.
If you extract the human beings off of it.
If you take the human beings out of Haiti,
wilding out, sir.
Haiti is off the chain. It's a huge island, the island of Hispaniola.
Desolate. It's off the chain, but it's desolate.
Yeah, but it's still a mighty land mass. It still has much potential. As to the universe wanting to assist Haiti at this time, as Minister Bell is saying, I seriously doubt it. I seriously doubt it. As to assisting us with the repatriation or the other exercises, we're being encouraged to keep them here and not to repatriate them back to Haiti. What we have in our country is an overwhelming factor on our politicians. Like you said, our politicians are not up to this level of negotiation.
Not all of them, no. But the majority of them, they're just not up to it.
Okay, so let's find out who is up to that level of negotiation. We're talking about the Fred Mitchells. We're talking about what the Philip Brave Davises. Philip Brave Davis is now our Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis. Is he the chief negotiator? Is Fred Mitchell the chief negotiator? Who is doing the negotiations on the behalf of the Bahamas? Because for the last 30 years, if we had to give them a grade as to what our negotiations results have been, it's going to be dismal for me.
Negotiations have... we understand negotiations.
No, we don't.
No, what I'm saying to you, we here in this room, in this space, those the audience that's listening, we have to have a very clear understanding of what negotiation is.
Yes.
And that understanding means that you have to be able to present pros and cons and understand you get something, I get something, and there is growth for everyone in this particular
That's
instance.
what it should be.
That's what it should be. That has not been that for the past 30 years.
That's not been that.
We have always been left with the brown side of the stick. That's
You know
what
why?
we've been holding on
But
to.
you know why? Our religious belief have us that way. I'll prove it to you.
The moist brown side of the stick.
You go into church. I want you to understand something.
Hold that thought.
You sure you want me to hold this one?
Just hold that thought. Let's write it down. Let's take this quick commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio.
I was about to show you something just now.
Let me take this commercial break. Let me take this commercial break and be right back, ladies and gentlemen. The Foundation will be right back after this.
Foundation. The foundation. The foundation. Foundation.
The Foundation. We'll be back right after this.
The foundation. The foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
Wednesdays just got a whole lot better. Introducing Whopper Wednesdays at Burger King Nassau. Get a flame-grilled Whopper for only $5.50, including that. Yes, you heard that right. This Wednesday, you can indulge in the classic flame-grilled Whopper you love, made your way for only $5.50. Stop by your favorite Burger King Nassau location this Wednesday and enjoy a Whopper for only $5.50. Burger King Nassau, where taste is king.
Tired of paying too many bills and loan payments each month?
Shrink your monthly debt payments down to one easy payment with our debt consolidation loan.
It also has a built-in savings that pays you 5% interest.
Inquire about our debt consolidation loans today.
Call 356-7764.
The 6th edition of the Bahamas Games are on the way. July 7th through the 15th. Get ready for inter-island sporting competition in the spirit of unity and camaraderie. Which island is gonna win? It's the Bahamas Games. Our nation, our talent, our games. And look out for the B-Games crew coming to your island soon. For more information, call 809-1242. or visit thebahamasgames.org.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. 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 The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio, Howard Grant and your company, The Foundation. Beautiful day. I get a couple texts in here. We're sitting here with none other than my very good friend, Garth Roseborough, being able to chop these things down. And I got a text that says, powerful. This man is 100% right. Where has he been? Oh, my God. These some texts coming through. He said, tell Garth I can need a little ride on his boat to cool off on the sea breeze after 2 God, this is too much. Anyway, so there's a text is coming through. He says, read this on your show, Howard, regarding the ruling for the justice. Isn't ignorance of the law no excuse to violence, to violate or break it? Then this ruling is blank. It says, Bahamians should be outraged. But watch us. We will sit back and complain while others benefit. Only Bahamians can't break laws in the Bahamas. Everyone else gets a blight. How in the world, I modified for you, how in the world can you just throw up a building on the land, not follow building codes and sanitation requirements, and still be allowed to live there? Where? It's a text that's coming through. Let me see if I can read another text. It says, you are throwing the seeds. Oh, I don't know what this person's saying. Okay, here we go. It says, evil catches a ride on the good that we do. Right? Let me see if I can take a telephone call. Caller, you on the line with us live. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller, you on the line with us live.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Howard. How are you and your guest today?
Fantastic, my brother.
You know, you had a caller earlier and said you always resort to the Christianity part of the issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
You, me, and the caller know where we stand on Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do this for a long time, but you had a caller. After that call, I said, you know, it's been going on for quite some time. I always wanted to bring the other side to the fore. So maybe Friday or sometime next week, I want to have this other side with you and the rights of other person who believe otherwise. And I'm going to have that conversation to sort of ease this tension. So I got to feel like it. Maybe Friday next week. So I'll talk with you later.
Okay, my brother. Thank you so much for your telephone call. I do appreciate that. Go ahead, Garth.
As the show is winding down, I just want to leave some good advice for my good Bahamian people. And if this advice doesn't work for you, it isn't because it's bad advice. It's probably just because you just don't want to understand what I'm saying to you. But this is for you, the listener. You need not be a part of any institution that is not prepared to give back to you. You need not to give your mortgage, your light bill, your water bill, your car note to organizations, hoping to have a life thereafter that's better with streets of gold and pearly gates. God is not going to save you because you sinned all week. You drank all the rum you could gluttonously. You've had, sex out of wedlock, or you've had adultery, or whatever the case may be, and then you decide on the weekend, I'm going to give some money so God could forgive me. Mm-hmm. God is not that cheap of a God. I'm talking the God that I know. I'm not talking about any other religion. I'm talking about the Christianity level of thinking in terms of God. When you decide to give, you must make the investment because you believe in the cause, not because you're trying to buy your way through. And in this country, there's too many people who believe just by giving to institutions for the life thereafter to be saved, we're embellishing those people and making them extremely wealthy or for our money. And you know you ain't going to heaven. A lot of y'all going straight to hell. You know this. Stop it. I mean, just stop it. Let's stop the games. Some of you people are not interested in heaven at all. I mean, you want to try to get in maybe with a couple of dollars, but I'm just saying to you, the dollars is not going to get you in. So let's stop that. So when it comes to tithe and offering, here's what's happening. When it comes to taxation from the political aspect, here's what's happening. The reason why people are now leaving our country is because they are paying taxes, but there's no reward or benefit that's desired, and so therefore they leave. They don't feel as if they are part of something that is benefiting themselves. The reason why people are leaving your church is because they're tired of giving to your church, but your church ain't giving nothing back. People, if you want your church to grow, you have to learn how to share. If you want to stay in power as a political party, or as a member of parliament, you got to learn how to share. Stop taking the money that they give you allocated every month for your constituency and giving it to the sweetheart. That is not going to get you a second term. It's just simple principles the Bible is showing you to live upright so that people around you, when they feel that as if they have a benefit, then of course they're going to support you. No one at this particular stage in 2023 is going to support you without a benefit. And that is where the world is today in 2023.
Let me read a couple of texts before we get out of here. It says, Mr. Grant and guests, the level of ignorance in this country is pathetic. And until we go back to the basics of our godly principles, nothing will change. Your guest is so right. Those who are well or don't care about anybody else. It says, we need to go back to the days where others helped in the rearing of the children. Manners should be taught at the home, but seeing that is lacking, it should be taught in the school. I believe our curriculum needs to change. I think that they're preparing us with a lot of these pseudo information that we don't use on a day-to-day basis. A lot of this information is just to be able to say that we can be able to get on a global stage, but most of us ain't getting nowhere. We right here. And so we need something that we can be able to hold on to see our society move forward. There needs to be more critical thinking in the school. There needs to be a sort of agitation. There needs to be sort of engagement into the minds and spirits of these children. I remember conversations when I was in high school. It didn't equate to the conversations that exist today. I tell you this. I hear a lot of young politicians using language that's 40 years old. It's baffling to me. It is absolutely baffling to me, right? These people are younger than me. They have never heard politicians 30 years ago. They wasn't involved in politics, but they get in politics now. They're a young face, and they've been trained by the juggernauts. No critical thinking, no environmental observation, nothing. And they just regurgitate the exact same thing. There needs to be critical thinking in school. That's the only way the country could move ahead. This relentless regurgitation ain't getting us nowhere. All we are young people with an old spirit that's going to keep us stagnant.
Well, they continue to tell us there's going to be systematic change for our nation, and we have yet to receive that. I looked at The Guardian as well this morning, and I think the first thing I said to you when I came into the studio was I read the article pertaining to Minister Keith Bell, which I do believe was very well written. I believe that his statement was very well positioned too. I think it was the language of a true statesman. As to his performance, that may be left to be desired, but as you said, the rhetoric is there. But now we need some strength to what we're saying. We need to know that our country is going to be pointed in the right direction. Until we get there, mayhem continues, my friend. Mayhem continues, and hopefully your show will continue to be a part of the national conversation and help to bring our nation past the year 50 and have a more glorious year 51.
I hope it is. I'm having a conversation right now because people are relentlessly in this kind of position of stagnation. They want to be able to perpetuate the exact same thing that existed before. My God, let's grow. Let's grow.
We'll have to move on from what was there before.
Let's grow.
Paving the roads and putting up new electrical lines and light. That's old news. We got to find some new things to do. We need some factories and you know what I mean? let us some new creative ideas, and they've been promising these innovative ideas, these anchor projects. We've heard all of these things before, but we've not even gotten there yet.
It is absolutely enough. And if you're expecting these texts, I'm baffled by it. If you're expecting me to be Steve McKinney, if you're expecting me to be Darrell, if you're expecting me to be Carlton, if you're expecting me to be Juan McCartney, if you're expecting me to be anyone else, please, you haven't grown. The country is morphing and molding. The reason why I said to you, there are younger politicians with an old voice and hitting you with these political talking points is for you to understand our country is moving and morphing and growing and expanding every day. Your children now have something that I never had when I was young. Technology. Access to information instantaneously globally. There could be no expectation that their language doesn't reflect what they're reading, that their language doesn't reflect what they're seeing. How is it your expectation is to hear the exact same thing that you've always heard? That blows my mind. Either you won't grow, baby, or stay stagnant.
Well, I think you make a very powerful point in terms of the information age. I'll just say this, and I listened to your caller earlier that mentioned about only 2 homes being demolished because the talk was that they did not know of the injunction. Well, then maybe the real truth needs to just be said, They just don't care. They just don't care about you. They don't care about what happens to you. Yes, the government is here to look out for its citizenry, but if you feel the government is not doing a good enough job for you, then the real question is, what is the benefit for you of being a citizen? If you don't feel a citizen, like other Bahamians, you will root up and leave. For others of you who feel as if the benefit still exists of the sun, the sand, the sea, and the beautiful people playing dominoes under the tree and not being a second-class citizen as it is in America based on race, then you stay and you fight. But you have a decision to make.
That's it,
But this I will say to you, talking about it is not going to get anything done. We've been talking for the last 45 years.
Talk our mouth tired.
So let's stop talking now. Let's come up with a plan of action, not an idea, not a scenario. What we need is a plan. And then you need to put your politicians' feet to the fire to make them do exactly what you know needs to be done. If we're not prepared to do that, then what use is it as I'm still having this conversation and talking?
Let's touch this before we get out of here. A couple more texts. It says, now, Howard, please read my text. This is ask your guess if the Bible is an actual history book or it is a historical, or is it as historical as Romeo and Juliet story? This is a serious question, Howard. I'm tired of them treating the Bible as an actual history book. I'm tired of them taking it literal. It is not a historical book. This is information that's coming through. I read your text. You asked me to read it. I read it. Right? You want to touch it quick? You got 28 seconds.
Well, I myself was born in 1969. Mm-hmm. So whenever the Bible was written, I wasn't even here.
No.
When it was written in Greek, I wasn't here.
Mm-hmm.
When it was written in Hebrew, I wasn't here. When it was written in Aramaic, I wasn't here. When the Egyptians wrote in hieroglyphics, I wasn't here. What I do know is that I hold on to the Bible, and I'll tell you why. Because it works for me. Once again, people, if it doesn't work for you, throw it away. We don't have a discussion.
That's it.
We don't need to talk about it any further. But why hate on me? Because it works for me. It works for me.
That's it.
If your old bear, your witchcraft, your whatever works for you, have it.
Listen.
At the end of the day, every knee shall bow and every tongue confess. But this I will tell you, I myself have not been forsaken. I've never been begging bread.
Come on.
Because every time I want to curse God and die, the blessings just continue to come and overflow. I say, God, why are you doing this to me? And then he shows me something that's so wonderful. I'll say this to you, and I'll confess this on the air. I mentioned a Mercedes-Benz to you, yes? Someone came to my home, dropped it off, a convertible Mercedes-Benz. What do you call it? SLK 350.
She want to ride in the car too.
No, I'm just saying.
Go ahead.
They dropped it off. It cost me nothing, absolutely nothing. I got a great deal the other day on a Jeep Wrangler. People say, how the heck you got a Jeep Wrangler? I looked online and saw how much the Wrangler cost. That particular year was online in the U.S. for $28,000 or $35,000.
Oh, this is a good year.
Yeah, but guess what? I didn't pay hardly anything for it. And the person said, God, don't tell people you ain't hardly pay nothing for it. I said, I have to. He says, why? I said, I want people to know that the God I serve, not what they serve, the God I serve takes care of Goth. Mm-hmm. And so if your God isn't taking care of you, get rid of him. If your God is doing wonderful things for you, praise be to God. And like Shara J said in a song this morning, I'll say it again, Shara Johnson, still holding on.
My God. Ladies and gentlemen, let me read a couple more of these texts before we get out of here. It says, greetings, gentlemen. Remember, haves have not, ain't gonna get. Which one are you?
Ebron Smith. I know his language.
ATL, right?
From Atlanta. Yeah,
right.
I know his language.
He says, man, the richest people in the world are atheists. So wealth is nothing, brother. I think riches and wealth is two different things that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us, we don't know how to distinguish between the two. Wealth. A lot of us in this country are truly wealthy.
The one thing the atheist has,
rich.
Yeah, but the one thing the atheist has in common with all of us is that we're going to die. Now, what happens after death, no one knows. But this I do know, that while you're on this side, you got to take care of Howard. And if God is working for Howard, praise God, Howard, and let God continue to work for you. If the atheist says there's no God, when the other side comes, It is what it is.
Well, Grammy say it coming, it ain't there. Okay. It coming, it
There's
ain't
nothing
there.
else I can say. Choose you this day.
Who you can serve. Okay. My God. God or mammon. You got to make a decision.
I leave it at that.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was an invigorating show. I always enjoy sitting with my boy Garth because he can throw it down on the table. The next thing that's going to evolve from here is people going to ask me, is he going to run? Is he going to run? Garth, we can get into that conversation next time. Guys, this has been a great show. I thank you so much for tuning in. 96.9 FM radio. Listen, man, all I want to do is participate. All I want to do is my portion to trouble that stagnant water in our society, to invigorate and remind you of the hope that exists and the importance of community. That's all I want to do here on The Foundation. I thank you for your participation. Even for those who go contrary to the position that we take, you're causing us to sharpen our tools to continue to be able to go forward. So I thank you so kindly, guys. Thank you for participating. Tomorrow is Small Business Thursday. If you want to be able to be a part of that, 827-0111, 827-0111. And I want you to stick and stay for Shivago Line with Z Live right after this. Have a great day, guys. See you tomorrow.
The Foundation. The Foundation. The Foundation. Foundation.
At Marco's Pizza, you don't have to feel guilty about enjoying our pizza. Now offering a gluten-friendly cauliflower crust. It's a perfect excuse to eat your veggies with Marco's tasty gluten-friendly cauliflower crust. Made with real cauliflower, real gluten-friendly. Try our new cauliflower crust on any small pizza. You can only find our signature gluten-friendly cauliflower crust at Marco's Pizza Bahamas. Order now at marcospizzabahamas.com.
Ready to step into the future? From your front door to the backyard and everywhere in between. See and speak to whoever's there with Ring Video doorbells and security cameras now available at Alive. Protect what matters most, all from one easy app. Available in your Google or Apple Play Store. Visit bealive.com/ring to learn more. We are Alive.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9